Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Astroflower. We're going to be going into energy, consciousness, and sleep, and brainwaves as well. It was a request by one of our viewers. So I think I'd just like to go into the details of that because it's quite interesting sort of thing, and it's all about the dreaming world. That's what it's all about dreams more than anything else, and how they connect to our higher being, our general consciousness, and so forth. So, as an energy healer over the past 25, 30 years, I've been looking at people's sleep patterns. It's one of the main things I ask in a healing session. And this is where I got my tea meditation in the morning, which really does help with sleep patterns. If you haven't seen that tea meditation video, you find it on our channel. It helps us to use our mental energy in a very efficient way rather than running after our thoughts, being much more connected to our bodies and so forth. So, I looked into human sleep patterns, and I liken it to like when we go scuba diving. So, when you go scuba diving, you start off at the surface, you go down to 5 meters, and then you stay at 5 meters, and then you go down to even greater depths. And when you come back up, you get back up to 5 meters, and then you come back up to the surface. And this is very similar to a sleep pattern as we go through the evening or go through the night, as it were. And we use different types of frequencies within brain frequencies or brain waves, as it were. And it's the way in which we do that can then provoke prophetic dreams and lucid dreaming. And so we'll be going into that in a little bit later on. First of all, let's just have a look at brain waves and see what we're talking about here. So generally we have the gamma waves, the beta waves, the alpha waves, the theta and the delta. Gamma waves is when we're sort of highly concentrated on something, and we've got sort of awake insight moments. I would say it's the opposite to the theta wave energy, but we're consciously waking up, and we're having experiences where we're recognizing synchronicities and so forth. It's like the waking dream in a way. We're physically conscious within our dreams, as it were. And then we have the beta waves, and this is sort of like um, it's sort of concentrated thinking when you're working and so forth. It's between the two sort of frequencies. Like the gamma waves is that sort of like intuitive, sort of like really on the edge of energy, as it were. And the beta waves is when we're concentrating, sort of working or doing something. And then we have the alpha waves, which comes into meditation, and that meditation energy goes between 8 and 12 hertz. And that 8 and 12 hertz is very similar to that sort of falling to sleep sort of scenario. And the amount of people who do meditation and when they fall to sleep, that's where they go into those alpha waves, as it were. So we can provoke those sort of alpha waves, and you can provoke sleeping. I can sleep within a dime, as it were. I can sleep at a moment's notice, as it were. And then we got this transitional moment where we go into the theta waves. And this is where we say we're much more in sort of like a trance or so forth. And this is where they say dreaming sort of happens. We'll go into this a little bit more. And then we get the delta waves, which is the between 0.5 and 4 hertz, where we're really sort of really in deep sleep mode. Okay, so that's the different types of frequencies within the brain sort of waves. But there is my own sort of philosophy, as it were, which is to do with this is the rhythms here. Let me just show you here, bringing it up. Sorry, just dealing with the computers in my beta brain there. Here you can see the energies of the sleep pattern, as far as I can tell. You start off with the first sort of hour, and this is where we go into sort of what is it? It's theta. It's alpha waves energies. So we have the alpha waves energies. Let's just bring it back up so I can see it properly. There it is. Alpha wave energies, and this is where you're sort of falling into sleep. And it's that moment where we shut our eyes and it becomes a little bit, and the body relaxes and so forth. It is that meditative state. And we sort of, for me personally, as a healer and looking at people's rhythms, we stay in that rhythm for around about sort of an hour and a half. And then we have like going from that, and it's preparing, and it's in that moment there where we do have sort of like sort of dream state as well, because we're going towards the theta energy or the theta waves, and it's dreams that are concerned with the day, and we're physically attached to it, as it were, and the things that we've been through, and it's recognizing what we've been through in the day. So it tends to not necessarily be prophetic, but more sort of like the starting of what I would call the defragmentation sort of energy waves. And then we move into that theta wave. Now, the theta waves are a little bit like having, scuba diving, as I said, when you go down to the 5 meter and you stay around that point there. And that's where dreams really do start happening. So it's an analysis of where we are connecting to, if you like, our guides, and that's our physical guides, but also our guides within our spiritual or energetic or mental sort of state, because we have a multitude of different guides. And we connect with them to sort of like to recognize what and how we did things during the day. And this is where we sort of looking at all the information of everything that we did, thought during the day. And that creates dream state at that moment. So that's that dream state where we're allowing ourselves, because we're disconnecting to the body, where all the thinking really goes on, and we're disconnecting to the body, and the body relaxes, and it allows the brain then to connect to all those sort of guides. We then move from the theta state, and we start going into the delta state and into the deep energy or deep sleep. Now, this moment of going from theta to delta, and this is where people tend to wake up. It's as if you like looking into an abyss and taking that leap of faith into abyss. And this is why people tend to wake up with a sudden shock, as if they're falling somewhere. And it is because they're falling from theta waves or a meditative state into a deep trance or deep state of sleep. And that can sort of shock us if we are still connected to the mental energy. I say usually at between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, depending on what time you go to sleep, but it's roughly around about sort of 3 hours after you go to sleep, where we sort of disconnect the brain. And that can pose as a bit of a shock for some people. And that shock wakes people up. So you can see on this graph, which is just next to me, which is just here, the darker green colors is like disturbed sleep. So when you're normally heading into that delta energy, just before as you go into it, that's when we tend to wake up. And that's when we're just sort of disconnecting to our guides, and everything is going into a complete defragmentation mode, where we're defragmenting everything that we did during the day, everything we thought during the day, all the emotions that are attached to it, and so forth. And that can tend to wake you up. And then if you wake up around about 1, 2 o'clock, you might be able to get back to sleep. And if you do get back to sleep, you tend to sort of hover around the theta energy, rather than going down into the delta wave. So you can tend to wake up in the morning feeling very tired, that you haven't had a sleep at all, more than anything else. And then so we stay in this delta sleep here for around about sort of 3 hours. There is moments where we have peaks, where we do come up, where we start, we get the REM sleep, the rapid eye movement sleep. But we don't tend to remember the dreams in the early part of our sleeps, because it's the defragmentation of the day, as it were. So it's not the sort of things that we need to remember, because we know what we did during the day, but we just need to understand what we've been doing during the day. Okay, So we have this sort of delta sleep that lasts around about sort of 3 hours, say from 1 o'clock in the morning through to 4 o'clock in the morning. And then we have this 4 o'clock in the morning where we start coming back up to the surface and we go through back into the theta waves of energy. And this is where the prophetic dreams start. And this is where also we get like collective dream theory as well, where many cultures in the past have done like where they spend the night together in a sacred place, sacred energy, and so forth. And then they will talk about the dreams they had the night before and see if they can have some sort of understanding of what's going on within the universe and how our connection is, and maybe what the group or the tribe should be doing as going forward according to the dreams. Now, this is where we're not necessarily connected to our guides, but we're very much connected to the universe and the universal energy and the idea of what we should be doing or what we should be paying attention to. And this ties into our rhythms in our life cycle as well. It depends on how old we are and what we're doing and in our lives. And with that sort of understanding of our life rhythms, it can understand when, maybe our prophetic dreams are actually warning us about health issues or maybe even sort of accidents that may be coming in the future and so forth. But it could also be prophetic dreams about good things, about opportunities that could be arriving in your life. And this is because we're connecting our consciousness to the collective consciousness or the universal vibrations and the universal energies that are coming through. And that happens there when we're coming up, just up here, when we're coming from the deep sleep to the back up to the theta, back up to that 5 meter level within the scuba diving sleep theory. And that is also a moment where people get disturbed sleep, they rise too quickly and they end up waking up. So you might find that you have problems sleeping at 1, 2 in the morning and at 4 and 5 in the morning. And that's when you tend to sort of wake, when you have sleep patterns that are difficult or you have problems with your sleep patterns, that's when you tend to sort of wake up. But it's the collective dreaming or the dreaming with the universal vibrations where we can actually see forward in time. And this is where we would get, once we go into that theta energy, we then go back into, we move back into from alpha energy, move back into the alpha energy, and that's where that's where we're really sort of like re-preparing, putting everything back in its place so we can prepare the awakening moment. And the theta energy is the part where, certainly in this part of during the sleep pattern and the later stages within our sleep, much more between sort of 4, 5, 6 in the morning. Now, obviously, it depends on what time you actually go to sleep. And I would always suggest you go to sleep ideally before midnight. It's not always the case. And there is some of us who are night owls and some of us who are morning birds, as it were. But it tends to happen on a general scale around about that sort of period there where you can get into lucid dreaming, because that point there, you can actually see what you wish to be doing in the future. And this is where we get into the prophecy of it all, with the lucid dreaming. If you are consciously engaged in your dreaming, and it helps if you do a meditation on a daily basis, once you get into that sort of dreaming, you can play with the reality around you without having the restrictions of the material world. And so then therefore you can create or decreate a wall or obstruction that is within, in front of you, which you can't actually do in the physical world. But this is the moment where lucid dreaming can happen, where your consciousness is connected to the universal energies through the theta energies, like a meditative sort of state of being, where you can really start, exploring consciously your dreams. And this is where we can connect also to other people who are on the same sort of level. And you can dream about connecting with other people, meeting other people in your dreams. And that's where the collective dreaming consciousness comes into play. After that, we come back to the alpha wave, where we're just putting everything back in its place, a little bit how a computer defragments itself when it shuts down, and then it opens back up when we turn it back on, and gradually put all the sort of programs into place that we need to do. And this is the whole sort of rhythm of sleeping as we go forth and go through an evening. So in the beginning part of the evening, or the beginning part of the night, or the night's sleep, is the moment where we connect with our guides, we defragment our day. Then during the deep sleep, the delta energy, where we're getting a lot more engaged with the earth energy and the universal energy, this is where we can literally calm totally and allow everything to be totally connected. And as it's totally connected, that's when we can allow that information to come through to help us as we go back into the theta waves, as we're going in that process of going from deep sleep into awakening, where we can then combine what the universe is trying to tell us into prophetic dreams and ideas of how to go forward. And then we go back into the alpha wave, where we put everything back in its place and we gradually wake up. So that's a sleep pattern there that goes on, and how it works energetically and with our guides and our consciousness. To help you with that, as I said, you'll find it around my head. I will link it in this video at the end, where we can actually, you can help this process enormously by doing daily meditations, but also having what I call the tea meditation first thing in the morning. It sets you up so everything knows its place. So then, therefore, in the future, during the day, you don't really have any choices to make. You've just got that evident path to follow. And that helps with the defragmentation of your day through your guides and so forth. And then that helps you to actually see where you're going with your lucid dreams as you wake up. So that's how it appears to me, as energetically speaking. And the lower the vibration, so like once you get into delta waves and you get much closer to the 0.5 hertz, that's when we're really getting into connection with the energy. When we're meditating, we're only seeing the surface sort of stuff, as it were. Okay, so there you go. I hope that sort of helps you, certainly for any sort of sleep patterns, and helps you to understand your dreams and so forth. We will be talking about it on the live, maybe on Sunday, which goes out at 9:30 UK time. That's 9:30 in the evening, GMT time. Join us there for live questions and answers, where we will all, as the Astroflower family, find solutions to the situation. In the meantime, I will see you soon. Don't forget, life should be fun, so please do enjoy.